Alrighty, so let's talk about how do you switch from per capita taxation to proportional taxation really fast. So the method is easy. You first roll back to land taxes, and then you switch to proportional. It will work for pretty much everyone except for the Brits. Brits will pretty much have to stomach per capita until trade unions get strong, because the issue with Brits is that they have a really weak landowner in the early game. So analysis. First, we have to go over why is switching to proportional taxation so hard. It's because only trade unions support it, and the issue with trade union is that they don't really have a really high clout until you have researched the tag called labor movement. Like before that, they will have a minus 50% penalty in their interest group attraction. So yeah, it will take a really long time for your trade union to get strong. And you also need to put a lot of your pops in factories, which is going to be hard to do if you have per capita, as we have discussed earlier, per capita is pretty weak, right? In terms of the tax revenue you can collect. And however, we know that landowners will support going from per capita to land taxes. And when we go from land taxes to proportional, this change is actually supported by petty bourgeois, the armed forces, and the rural folks. And it's only opposed by the landowners, while the industrialist doesn't really have an opinion, which we can see here. In the Russian economy, we will see that by going from land taxes to proportional, a lot of people support it, like these three interest groups support it, and only the landowners are against it. So yeah, essentially, if you first swap to land taxes from per capita and then you swap to proportional from land taxes, you will be pretty set. You will have like 20 to 30% support for the change, which if you are lucky enough or if you are willing to save scum, will let you push through the law in like 10 or 20 years. So yeah, that's pretty much that. And it's also like radicalization of the landowners. It's not gonna be a huge issue because since you just approved, if you enacted land taxes, right, the landowners it's not gonna be as angry. They will have a +5 approval boost for 5 years. So essentially during this period, they will not be really angry about your switching into proportional taxation, which means they're not gonna start like movements and stuff, which is good, right? And lastly, if you swapped to land taxes, your revenue isn't gonna be impacted all that much. Why? Because earlier I discussed how land taxes, you can jack it up to the max really easy, right? And now we take a look at, say, Prussia. If we switch to land taxes, we're only losing like 20k. We're not losing a lot of money here. Like our revenue is 120k, so we only lose like a sixth of our revenue. For France, we are losing how much of our revenue? For France, we are losing only like what? A fifth of our revenue? Yeah, 250, 264, and 52, a fifth of our revenue. So essentially, you only lose a fifth of your national revenue for a couple of years, and then after the swap, you will get proportional, which will give you a ton of national revenue, and it will also tax your peasants less, which makes them happier and gives you a lot of loyalists. However, I do have to admit that this is still gonna be a risky play if you're unlucky and unwilling to save scum, because if you are really unlucky and you got stuck onto land taxes for a really long time, well, that's gonna impact your ability to industrialize. So yes, this play is gonna be really strong for anyone who really want to swap. This play is gonna be really good if you want to get your economy going a lot faster. However, there is certainly a risk to it. And now let's go over why this doesn't really work for the Brits. It's because the Brits landowners are super weak. They only have like a 8.1% clout. So it's pretty much impossible for the Brits to have a really high landowner clout at this point, since they have put like more than half of their workforce in factories already. So for the Brits, essentially you just have to rush for labor movement. Well, you don't really have to rush for it. You just you just industrialize as normal, you build factories as normal, and once labor movement spreads to you, well, your trade unions will be a lot stronger, and then you bolster your trade unions, and after a couple of years, you should be able to swap to proportional. Like, it's not gonna be, you will not be able to do this as early as swapping to land and then going into proportional, but since you already have such a big portion of your population employed, you're not in the biggest rush as well. So yeah, that's pretty much that. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them in the comment section. I will reply to the best of my abilities, and bye bye.